Welcome to the ST2K Show Arcade Memories podcast. This is Ronmower along with the Jman and Starsoldier.
Yo,
Actually,
you
we have
guys
a
not
hidden
in it?
guest. Well, he might be a hidden special unlockable character. He's here to record, but I'm not sure if he wants to actually be in the podcast because he don't have memories. But
The arcades were gone by then.
yeah, of course, if we got feels like it, he can still jump in and make up his own memories. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, in '93, when I was in my mother's womb, I played Mortal Kombat in arcade. No. All right, so yeah, we've been trying to do this podcast for a long time. Major schedule conflicts. Magus was going to be in it, but yeah, he couldn't be here tonight. It's 4th of July weekend here in the States, and he just didn't want to record tonight. He had other plans, so record or be in the podcast rather. And so yeah, a podcast been wanting to do for a long time. And so yeah, I guess I'll just go ahead and start off by off the top of my head. I don't have like many memories as far as being in the arcades, but there's definitely a few good ones. Um, Me, Jman, and Starsoldier definitely grew up during that era. We're all in our 30s, and yeah, so during the 80s and 90s, arcades are very big. I don't know if you guys had this in your area, but have you ever heard of an arcade called Tilt?
Nope.
Yeah, not here in Canada.
Okay, I know where I lived at. It was called Tilt, and they had a lot of arcades in there. And then toward the dying days of it, it became like mainly pinball machines or whatever the heck they had in my local mall. It was kind of sad, but technology was advancing and home systems were being more capable of having better than arcade quality. And so the arcades started to die off slowly. But man, they were so big back in the day. And off the top of my head, one of my favorite arcade memories was Super Street Fighter 2. And I mentioned this a few times in the past. Of course, the original Street Fighter games we played a lot in the arcades, and Capcom made a fortune off of that. But when I subscribed to Nintendo Power Magazine and I seen that ad for Super Street Fighter 2, I'm like, whoa! Another Street Fighter game is coming out, and they showed 4 new characters, and I just went crazy. And finally, a few months later, I got to play it, not in the actual real arcade. I was living with my dad in Georgia at the time, and I was about 13 or 14, and on my way to help him work, we would go to a Circle K convenience store, and in there was Super Street Fighter, and he would let me play for a few minutes, and that was freaking awesome. And so yeah, Super Street Fighter was one of my favorite arcade memories, even though it wasn't a real arcade. I think some of y'all J-Man and Star Soldier might have had probably some fun arcade memories, not just in the arcade, but probably in a convenience store. Whenever your parents or whoever would bring you, would stop to get something to eat real quick, whatever. And I know I got to play. I think it was that track meet game. Not I might have been track and field in the arcades if it wasn't in the arcades, some sort of track meet game. And then I also played something that looked real similar to what's that gun game? The light gun game called for the NES, where you on different missions, and one of them you shoot people from a plane or in a plane.
Freedom Force?
Yeah, Freedom Force. It might have been that. For years I thought it was Hogan's Alley, until I went back and bought Hogan's Alley and it was nothing but target practice. I said, this is not what I remember in the arcade. Unless they really, because of the specs, they had to really change it on the NES version. But a game that looked real similar to Freedom Force and Super Street Fighter, those games right there I had fun with in the arcade. And of course, Mortal Kombat, when it was huge in the arcades in '92 before it came to the home systems in '93. I remember one time I went to a local Walmart and I was trying to play Mortal Kombat 1, and for some reason the controls were just terrible, and not the game itself, just I think the arcade cabinet was broken. I tried to jump with Kano. All he would do is like block, and I'm hitting the joypad and like trying to jump. He's just blocking. I lose already. I just wasted my 50 cents or however much it was back then. So that was definitely not a good arcade memory. And so yeah, so far off the top of my head, that's all I can think of as far as arcade memories. Some more might come back to me here in a minute. What about you guys?
Kind of making some bullet points here, but yeah, me personally, I had a lot more fun playing arcade games like like we had a store called Preston Safeway. Also, the laundromats were a lot of fun. Convenience stores. We actually had a convenience store named Convenient, and they had Donkey Kong in there. I used to play that when I was really young. That was a lot of fun. Of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We also had a place, Ronnie, I know you're familiar with it. It's called Showbiz, where
Yes.
people know of it as Chuck E. Cheese now. They bought them out or whatever. Or I think it was originally Chuck E. Cheese, whatever. But yeah, that's where I played Turtles the first time. Man, that was a lot of fun. That's usually what I would blow all my money on, was Turtles. And then I'd go around and just watch the attract mode on the other machines while I was out of money, you know. So that was a lot of fun. Also, one summer, I think I was like 12, I went to a boys club thing because my mom was too cheap for babysitting or whatever. I don't even know why at 12 I was being babysat, but whatever. And there they had 3 arcade machines. They had Ninja Gaiden, which I had never seen after that. They had Wrestle War, which I haven't seen after that. And they had, I think it was called Combat Tribes. It was like 3 different players, and it was kind of like Guerrilla War if you've ever played that. And that's the only thing that I did there. Of course, it was free. So, oh yeah. And also at that Preston Safeway, they had WWF Superstars, which was a lot of fun. And I would go to that store just to play that. And, of course, this was back when all the arcade machines were a quarter, which is lovely. I believe that the first arcade game that I played that was 50 cents was Sunset Riders. I'm not sure about that.
I never got to play that version. I've only played the SNES version.
Oh, it was great. It was just like the Turtles machines where there was 4 screens.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember playing Ninja Turtles in the arcade and never got real far in it. Man, I was terrible at it. But it was so epic. It was so epic to play, even though I was not very good. I was not good at arcade games, period. I think the only arcade game I ever beat was the first Street Fighter II arcade game or something like that. I used Bison because it was so easy to use the Psycho Crusher.
Yeah.
And I would spam that a lot, and I beat the CPU. Can't really think of any arcade games actually beating the arcade legit. Or of course, it has to be legit. I don't think you can use cheat codes or whatever in the arcades. I don't know. But
unless you could get machines, you could change the dip switches.
Yeah, or you use MAME. Oh wait.
Right.
Oh.
But hey, that doesn't count.
Yeah, right. I would get maimed in the arcade. This little story is not arcade related because it wasn't an arcade. It was SNES on display at I think Target back then.
Yeah.
I would play. This kid I think was playing someone in Street Fighter. I think he was winning. Then it was my turn, and I think I picked E Honda. We were playing the World Warrior, and I picked E Honda. Oh man, he sucks. And then I end up whooping him big time with E Honda. And one thing I hated about Street Fighter is when you played against kids that would spam sorry moves by crouching in the corner and doing a weak sweep kick, or as they're playing, they go. And I just want to really in the face in real life and tell them to shut up. That's so annoying. Do you have to make punching sound effects when you play in a fighting game? That's so lame. But anyway,
yeah,
Starsoldier. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I got a little story about Turtles. That's probably about the only game I ever beat in the arcade after a lot of quarters and other players, of course. But when I turned 12 on my birthday, my mom bought me the arcade game for the NES, and I was so excited. It was like, oh my god, I have the arcade game, and then I put it in and turn it on, and it's like, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah, I thought I was getting, I didn't understand bits and all that back then. I thought it was going to be just like the arcade. I mean, it was still fun. I played the shit out of it, but it was like, oh man, what is this?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that story. You told me that a long time ago. I think it's around the time you and your little nephew recorded footage for your We Shall Play Ninja Turtles, the arcade game.
Yep.
Man, yeah, because back then we didn't understand the specs, the specification. And so, yeah, that has to be a major, major letdown. I think as a kid, I somehow fell for it too, but at the same time, I was like, well, it is NES, it's not the actual arcade. And to me, it didn't bother me too much. I still enjoyed it.
So.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Star Soldier.
Yeah, I go way back in my arcade memories, at least. I remember playing Miss Pac-Man at the old bowling alley. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was a huge step up from the original Pac-Man. Even though it was technically a girls' game, it was still very challenging. Loved getting the highest score. Loved the fact that the games were only a quarter.
Yeah.
Or right now if you play an arcade game, they're always $1, and you can barely find them anymore.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I also remember. Oh, sorry.
And I was gonna say real quick, I remember wanting to get an arcade cabinet in my room, but me and my parents couldn't afford it. That was $1,000-something.
Yeah, back then definitely.
Yeah.
I still have my Miss Pac-Man, cocktail table here. It cost me $300. I found it on Craigslist, I believe.
Ah.
Yeah. So that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember playing so much that, it would be cool to own this. So yeah, I had restored and everything, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you know those little tiny, like AVGN has them in the background, the little tiny arcade, a replica of an arcade?
Yeah, like those little Colecos.
Yeah. Coleco. Yeah, when I first saw that word, I thought it was ColecoVision. ColecoVision. Like Michael Cole.
What was that?
Bear just called me.
Freaking Bear.
Yeah.
He's too young for an arcade too. Arcade memories too. No, I'm just kidding. Well, yeah, actually, no, he is young, but
I was gonna throw in. I used to play Shinobi on the tabletop at Pizza Hut. And that was hella fun.
Oh, nice.
Very cool game.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember. I don't know if I actually played Shinobi in the arcade. I've seen the the CPU when you just stand there. You don't have the quarter. That was torture when you don't have money to play an arcade and you guys stand there and watch other people play or just watch the demo screen. I would watch the demo screen of Shinobi and I saw the bonus level where you gotta throw your shurikens and all the ninjas in the background, but then you lose if one of them jumps right in your face. Yeah. But I don't think I ever got to play the actual Shinobi arcade, but it looked really cool. But yeah, I did. I think I did play a little bit of Pac-Man. Probably, I mean, who hasn't at our age? Who didn't really play Pac-Man back in the arcade? And yeah, what we said earlier, Jman, about Showbiz Pizza, definitely a lot of fun arcade games in there back in the day. And you also said a laundromat. It was a few years ago. When I was living in North Waco. There was a laundromat near me, and as I was washing my clothes, I did play a few arcade games while I was waiting. I think the only one I played was it had the original Street Fighter 2 in that laundromat, and so I played that for a little bit. And I was like, man, I can't believe these still exist. Man, these arcade cabinets, they're so old. And there's a Dairy Queen. I don't know if you guys, well, Jamie, you lived in Texas for a little bit.
We have here.
Oh, okay. I thought it was only a Texas thing. But Dairy Queen, I don't think they have. I think that Dairy Queen is closed now. About 10 years ago, I was eating at the Dairy Queen close to my college, and I sat there and it had the Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition arcade game, and I just sat there looking at it, thinking, man, wow, these. And the arcade was so old and dingy. The cabinet was so just old, and you just tell it's been around for a while. I mean, and it was I was it kind of blew my mind because this is back in 2005, 2006. Arcade's pretty much gone, and I was like, wow, this is still around. It still works, and man, so yeah, it's to me it seems kind of rare to see an arcade cabinet around today. I wonder how much they would go for on eBay.
I know a lot of people are making them now, like custom making them.
Oh yeah, like homebrew. Yeah. Um, and there was another arcade game I was going to mention that just popped in my head that I played a lot. Oh yeah, you mentioned Ninja Gaiden, and back then it looked. It didn't have a different name in the arcade.
No.
Yeah, it was still called Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
It was just
But
a different
it was
game.
a completely different game than the NES version.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I seen someone play it, and I think someone said this is Ninja Gaiden, and I kind of argued with them. I said, "This ain't Ninja Gaiden. I played the one for NES. This is nothing like it. This can't be it. This has to be a different game." And I remember one of the bosses you fight was a giant E Honda-esque sumo wrestler.
Right.
And I think he tried to hit you, go, "Here's Scoo," or something. And I was like, this ain't Ninja Gaiden. This is a different formula. And yeah, it turns out it is. And so yeah, that was. Did you do that video, J-Man?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. I saw someone. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool thing about
things I wanted to do.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, that was a cool thing about arcade titles is that usually they would have better graphics or totally different gameplay than what you're getting on the consoles at least. Because consoles you can only do so much with them because it's a mass market item. But with the arcades you can have the latest technology there, and it just felt like it had so much more punch to it. It was just dedicated to one particular game. You had the latest tech in there. And yeah, usually when you went to the arcades, you're getting the most advanced video game you can technically get at the time.
Right. And challenging, because they want you to keep popping those quarters in.
Oh, definitely, yeah. They definitely ate a lot of my money, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
True. Well, the mom. Hey, Mom, give me more money. I'm broke. Right. I'm broke. You broke me, you damn turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing is, nice about, the arcade machines was, they're designed to play one game, so it can, focus the sound, everything on the sound chip, and, the memory, on the board towards that one game, instead of being like a console that's designed to play, multiple games. So, it's really dedicated. So you get the best sound and, the best look.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like the art on the cabinet, like a certain game. Yeah, that was pretty cool to look at. And I also loved playing Shadowgate in the arcade. That was fun.
What?
No, not really. Actually, that would be pretty cool. Thinking about it, a Shadowgate in the arcade. And yeah, because if done right, it don't have to be Dragon Lair-esque, but it could still be like better graphics, more scarier because all the deaths and everything may look real. The enemies look more realistic and scarier. That wouldn't have been a bad idea to have Shadowgate in the arcade back then.
That's a game that I seen like all the time, but never played it. Dragon Slayer. That and what's that other one? It's like Space Ace or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's Space Ace.
Okay, I've seen those two. Not so much Space Ace, but Dragon Slayer. Seen it all the time. Watch other people play it. I could just sit there and watch the the attract mode, whatever, and be satisfied. It was.
It's a better game to watch than it is to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Dragon's Lair until I think AVGN might have. I think I've seen it in one of those not Nintendo Power, but either Sega Visions or EGM magazines. I might have seen it on there. I didn't know what the heck it really was, but I never seen it in an arcade ever.
Yeah,
Wow.
I used to see it all the time myself.
Yeah.
I've seen it a lot, and I've seen it in a few laundromats, some arcades. Yeah, here and there. Quite a few
Yeah, you
times.
gotta remember back in the arcades, at least in the 1980s, arcades were everywhere. At least one on every block.
Yep, in the mall,
Right.
bowling
Yeah.
alleys, shit like that.
Each convenience store had one, tabletop arcade. It was pretty much everywhere because video games were huge in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, even up until the 90s, until I think around the N64 PlayStation era, then they realized, okay, let's just make it for home consoles now. Let's forget about these
Caught up, pretty much.
huge over budget arcade cabinets and focus on the home market instead.
Yeah. And I remember in a convenience store seeing the first Double Dragon.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
pretty. I don't know if I played it that much. If I did, I would get killed pretty quick by the Abobos. But in 2008, Lewis brought over Venom 22 brought over his Xbox 360, and he had Double Dragon, the arcade version, on there, and we did a little budget review of it. And so that's probably the only time I really got to play all the way through. Of course, we were cheating. Double Dragon for the arcade, but the Xbox Live version or whatever it was. So that was pretty cool. Was Double Dragon 2 in the arcade?
Yes.
Wow, I've never seen that one. I gotta go look that one up.
Yeah, Double Dragon 2 in the arcades was a lot like the first one. It just had like 4 levels to it. It didn't have any like the platform and junk that was in the NES version. It felt more like a traditional beat 'em up. But of course the graphics were better. You had a lot more enemies. The slowdown was still pretty bad, but it was still a much better fighting game.
Yeah.
And you also had free button control, which is much better than the stupid 2 buttons that's on the original Nintendo game. And I love the original Nintendo game, but the arcade version was just so much better.
Oh,
Yeah.
I never seen Double Dragon 2 in a arcade or anywhere. I've seen the game on YouTube and stuff, but yeah, never seen that one. Strangely.
Yeah.
Also, was it like Super Battletoads or something like that? There was like a really gruesome Battletoads game that was an arcade.
Yeah, Electronic Arts made exclusive Battletoads in the arcade where you can actually play as all 3 Battletoads.
Right.
And yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like it had some old some effects to it. It was just a beat 'em up. You didn't have to worry about no racing, bullcrap, or anything like that.
Yeah. The Turbo Tunnel.
Yeah, no Turbo Tunnel, no Volkmeyer's Inferno.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo Tunnel. No. So you mean Zitz was not kidnapped? You can use him?
Yeah, you can use all 3 of the Battletoads.
Nice.
For once.
Yeah. Me and Jman had fun with this arcade game, Contra.
I was going to mention that. The end. What?
Yeah,
you put like 10 bucks and quarters in that machine, and then you get like 3 continues or something like that, and then it says the end. So then you got to start over. You're not going to get your money out. That would suck so bad.
Yeah, I don't know how they got away with that. Like, I never even knew Contra in the arcade existed until way into my adult years, probably 2008, 2009. I never knew Contra was an arcade game first. I always thought it was an NES game first. I never knew it was in the arcades. And then me and J-Man did the video of Contra for the arcade, and yeah, like, you get game over even though you put quarters in it or something. It was very weird. I'm like, couldn't they get in trouble for that? Like ripping off kids, like angry parents writing letters or something. Like, come on, that was lame.
Yeah, that was very lame.
It also had a lot of challenge to the game, though. And you also got to remember, the NES game was like that, too.
I'll tell you another bullshit challenge game was Ghouls and Ghosts,
Oh yeah.
because that had a checkpoint system, even in the arcade.
Huh?
So you could,
Yeah, I never
you
played
can
that
get
one.
as many quarters as you want, but if you don't make it to a certain checkpoint, well, you got to start that shit over again.
Yeah, I never played that one in the arcade.
It was just as hard as the NES version, if not more so, because you had
Right.
more of a respawn problem. Capcom is definitely well known for making kids cry back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big time. That Ghouls and Ghosts game is awesome. I love that game. I played through it on MAME. It's very hard. I use save states. I save scum the fuck out of it.
Again,
yeah,
another one where it is a lot better and cleaner in the arcade version, where the NES one has some terrible scrolling on it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Not to mention you got blurrier graphics and all that, and
Right.
weaker
I,
sound.
I never got to play Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo in the arcades, but then I found out through magazines that Akuma was a secret boss, and I was like, "Whoa, what?" And you got to somehow, I think, beat Bison a certain way or something to unlock Akuma in the arcade. I forgot. And then you got to fight Akuma now, who's like even more powerful than Bison. That was I mean, that was pretty cool too. If you had, I don't know if anybody discovered that in their own the arcade. I'm sure most kids found out through a magazine. Well, I'm going to try that next time I get in the arcade, and then they do whatever they got to do to unlock, not unlock, but face Akuma. And I'm like, wow, that must have been a cool arcade experience.
I don't even know who that is.
What? Akuma from Street Fighter?
I'm not a big Street Fighter guy.
What?
I'm more
We got,
into. I can't believe we haven't talked about this. Killer Instinct.
well, hold on. We got J-Man from the call. Never play Street Fighter. I'm just kidding.
Get out of here with
Uh,
that.
oh no,
Killer
but
Instinct.
yeah, no, Street Fighter's better. Let's talk about Street. No, I was kidding. We already talked about Street Fighter. So yeah, Killer Instinct and Killer Instinct 2, which became gold on 64.
It was
Um,
funny in the attract mode of that. Coming soon for the Ultra 64.
I
nope.
remember that.
Did you guys ever? And this is still on topic, but uh, do you guys remember when Donkey Kong Country was being all hyped up, and you got a VHS tape of the making of Donkey Kong Country? I got it. I think I got in the mail. You somehow requested. I forgot how I got it, but in the very end, it shows all the developers in the room, and like I think the door says "Keep out," and the cameras go in there, and they're all yelling, "Hey, get out of here! No, no, don't look at this!" And you see the Killer Instinct title screen in the background, indicating the next rare game in development.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
No, I
so that
never.
was pretty.
I'll
And yeah,
oh.
I never played the Killer Instinct games in the arcade. I've just seen them. I never actually got to play them.
You know what pisses me off about Killer Instinct? That they took out Cinder and Thunder. That was bullshit.
Yeah.
And also Chief Thunder.
Well, yeah, that's what he said. Thunder.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
WCW Thunder. No. But yeah, I never got to play the Killer Instinct games in the arcade, just on at home only. And I mean, Killer Instinct. There's a lot of hype behind it, and I mean, I guess it's trying to get behind the Mortal Kombat bandwagon. And oh man, we gotta make something to combat that. No pun intended. And then Killer Instinct came out, and that was during the time where everybody. Not that Killer Instinct was a total clone or ripoff. Killer Instinct was great, but you had during that era, there were companies, whatever, coming out with all of these Mortal Kombat clones and terrible ripoffs, and we know what they are: survival arts, tattoo assassins. I think there's a Primal Rage. I think try to be one, failed.
Oh God, let's not even talk about that game.
It made me rage. Well, I never played that in the arcade. Thank God. I just did a let's check out of it on Genesis years ago because Angel or Unknown requested it, and it sucked. And I remember I had, I think it was EGM or Next Generation Gaming Mag. I think it was EGM. One issue I had, you guys might have seen it. One issue I had, it had Primal Rage on the cover, and it said Primal Rage. better than Mortal Kombat 2?
That's funny.
Now, I saw that and I was like, wow, Mortal Kombat 2, because I didn't know better. I was like, Mortal Kombat 2 may have some competition? I mean, it's going to be stiff because Mortal Kombat 2 is freaking almost untouchable. And then years later, I look back, I'm like, no, come on.
Well,
You can't even...
Sega was pretty famous for lying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still hate EGM.
EGM. I mean, back then those magazines are cool. We didn't know better how they could be biased or liars. But yeah, like there was Game Pro magazine, EGM, Nintendo Power, Sega Visions was another one I thought was pretty cool. Yeah.
GameStop always tries to fucking sell you.
Oh geez, a Game Informer.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that bullshit, man.
Yeah.
I get tired of that shit. I'm like, no. They start talking. No.
Yeah. Well, they're forced to do that. Managers are pressuring them. Hey, you got to sell these Edge cards and Game Informer subscriptions. Yeah. Silent Rob knows all about that. And J-Man's favorite YouTuber. Anyway, let's see. And yeah, speaking of Mortal Kombat, talk a little bit more about Mortal Kombat. One, definitely, I talked about part 1. I didn't get far in it at all in the arcade. Then Mortal Kombat 2, I never got to play that in the arcade, but I remember my friends talking about it, saying, yeah, this time there's like several hidden characters, not just one, maybe 2 or 3 hidden characters, and each character has 2 or 3 fatalities. And I'm like, whoa, what? And that was mind-blowing. So did you guys get to experience Mortal Kombat 2 in the arcade?
No, I did not. But I thought things got a little too ridiculous, animality and babality and what?
Yeah, I started getting sick of Mortal Kombat 3. That's when they really started to jump the shark. Mortal Kombat 2 was a great sequel because it felt more like Street Fighter 2. Each character had like 3 to 5 special moves, lots of secrets to it, and the gameplay felt more balanced. Where Mortal Kombat 3 had a run move, specific combos, and a whole bunch of unnecessary fatalities.
I agree.
Yeah,
definitely.
I never got to play.
A little generic. I'm not trying to say that in a really bad way, but I mean, you could play that and just go and mash on the punch button and win sometimes,
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely stepped it up with 2. I was more impressed. I was more blown away by the first one, of course, because it's like, whoa, you can punch a guy off of a bridge and he lands in a bed of spikes. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and then Reptile, this hidden character. How do who's this guy jumping on the screen, give these random cryptic messages? What? Yeah. And I never got to play 2 and 3 in the arcade, but I never think I've even seen Mortal Kombat 3 in the arcades. I just all of a sudden saw commercials and found out it was coming out soon. And October 95, I got my SNES version, and I thought I was cool because none of my other friends had it yet. And of course, everybody wants to come to my apartment to play Mortal Kombat 3 because I'm the only one that has it. Jody didn't have it. Swindoll didn't have it yet. And my other friends that lived over here did not have it yet. And I had the magazine.
Play it a bunch so you could whoop everybody's ass.
Yeah. But yeah, I never noticed it in the arcade. Was there, so Mortal Kombat 4, what was that like in the arcade?
What?
Oh, wait, did it ever come out in the arcade? No, that was only on 64, was it?
I didn't even know it came out in the arcade.
Yeah, it did. Originally, it only had 12 characters to it, and then they added revisions that had 15 characters.
Okay.
Yeah, and the first one had a bit more graphical glitches and some balancing issues.
Yeah. Another arcade game I liked, well, there were different versions of them. Those racing games where you got to actually sit down and like you're really driving.
Cruising USA.
Yeah, and there were some more. I can't think of the name of them though.
My personal favorite is San Francisco Rush.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also the original Hang On, the original Outrun, which had like a makeshift Corvette, at least in some arcades.
Yeah.
There
Remember
was
the
another
bull ride?
arcade, but I can't think of the name of it. Outrun.
Yeah, Outrun.
Yep.
Remember the bull riding simulator arcade? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god. You know,
One of
I'll
those-
say one great thing about Sega. They could make some fucking arcade games. That was
Definitely.
their
Yeah.
that was their niche. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is they would try to port them over to their consoles and they look like crap.
Yeah, it failed horribly.
Yeah. If you thought I didn't play Primal Rage in the arcade, but I know the Genesis version was terrible, and
Yes.
so I just did not like Primal Rage. It's like Jurassic Park meets Mortal Kombat, and it failed.
Right. It's great, like, once you figure out how to get the monkey to fart, and then that's fun for like a half hour, and then it's like, okay, this game sucks.
Wasn't there a
Problem
comic?
is,
I was gonna say, even Jim might have said this. Didn't he do a review of Primal Rage or something, or mention it before, where you had to do a
on-
complicated command just to urinate on your opponent?
yeah, on this 32X episode. Yeah, the
Yeah.
point I was going to bring up is that Primal Rage, the problem with it is that you only have 7 characters and there's no bosses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty much you're fighting the same 7 characters all over again once you beat the game, and boom, it ends. And you get a weak text-based ending for all your trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was in the arcade or not, but and if not, whatever. But Virtua Fighter, I think was worse than Primal Rage. Me personally.
Well, I kind of liked it.
I never played their version.
You win. You're a winner.
Winners don't use drugs.
I'll tell you about a shitty fighting game that I actually loved when I was a kid for some strange reason. Pit Fighter.
I might have played that a little bit when I was a kid in an arcade, but did not get hooked onto it at all. I think I seen the what's the Genesis version of it. That was definitely terrible.
Yeah, I never played it on any console, but I played it quite a few times in the arcade and had a blast. And now it's like, what the hell was I thinking? This game is horrible.
Yeah, well, you got that feeling in the pit of your stomach that it was going to be bad.
Yeah, I guess.
But back when it was first released, I remember kids just swarmed around the machine because, you know, it was one of the first to actually have like actual digitalized people in it, and it felt like this.
Edge, probably. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of edge, and you know, it was some very edgy. You know, you're in this illegal street fighting tournament, trying to be the best.
Right.
Yes.
It had a cool concept.
Yeah.
And
but yeah.
it was not like if your character got knocked back too far, the crowd would actually push you back in. Where do you think you're
Yeah. Reminds me of a real life schoolyard fight. They push you, come
Yeah.
on, fight him, and put you into your opponent, and they're instigating. Ooh. Yeah. What about Karate Champ?
I've never played that at all, period. And we never will.
I played a few
I might
times
have-
in the arcade.
I vaguely remember playing it, but I remember the scene from Bloodsport. I guess you guys don't, but whatever. And
Nope.
so yeah, it was just a part where Frank Dukes. That's when he first meets Ray Jackson, and Frank Dukes like beats him real bad in the Karate Champ arcade game, and that's when they shook hands and they first met. Yeah, so Karate Champ was in the movie Bloodsport. Oh, and you guys probably don't know this, but Street Fighter was in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, wow.
Not the arcade port, but there was an episode where this creepy pedophile, whatever the heck he was, Chris Hansen probably wasn't around back then to make him have a seat, kidnaps this girl, and like they were playing like Street Fighter, the home port, Street Fighter 2. He's like forcing her to play it, and then but it was dumb because like it was cool to see Street Fighter in an episode of Walker, but it was just a cameo appearance, of course, but no Street Fighter music, just some generically someone edited some generic video game arcade Gamecom portable console sound effects into the gameplay while they were playing. That part was stupid. Were they worried about copyright?
That's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you think if they got permission to show the game itself, they would be able to use the sounds as well. But okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Speaking of that, I loved Walker Texas Ranger in the arcade. It was like Sunset Riders meet Streets of Rage. That was pretty epic.
Okay, really speaking of that, I never played it, but I did see the original Street Fighter, Street Fighter 1 at a mall before.
Yeah, I don't think
it looked like shit. It
yeah.
didn't even look like Capcom made it. I mean, like I think you could only be like Ryu and Ken. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I never seen Street Fighter 1 until like years later on YouTube. I kept on, I just stumbled upon Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, and then the World Warrior, then Turbo, and I was like, man, what the heck? Like, where's Street Fighter 1? What did that look like? Yeah, so I didn't even see it till like years later on the arcade. I mean, arcade, dang it, on YouTube. The YouTube arcade.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I apologize for the beeping noise. That's Facebook. I know. Boo. Boo. Anyway. Yeah. Facebook for the arcade. That was pretty cool. You have to admit, Jman, where you play as Mark Zuckerberg and you go around stealing people's identity and editing their privacies.
I made him jump off of stuff. So.
He's the final boss. You play as Jman because he hates Facebook. And
okay, I made myself jump off the
cliff. Yeah. And then Starsoldier, you play Starsoldier. You got to find out. You got to find out who is posing as his sister to ask for money, and all security issues.
Back to fighting games. Another great one was Tekken 2. I don't think I've ever seen the original Tekken arcade game. I'm not really sure about that, but I've seen a shitload of Tekken 2.
I've only known Tekken on PS1.
Yeah, that's my biggest experience, of course, because it's a lot cheaper to buy a game than it is to play it in the arcade. But
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Isn't the final boss of Tekken? Isn't the final boss of Tekken like Dr. Wily on steroids or something, or whoever that guy is?
Yep. It's the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Tekken 2, it's the devil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also Angel.
Wait, who?
Actually, I think you just get the Angel, but yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
That's great.
Archangel Zero? No. All right.
Then there's you can get Bear 13 in that game.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. ST2K Fighter. I'm the final boss. It plays Jman, Starsoldier, Green, Wee Guy, Swindoll, and yeah, Gen 2, Bear. Jeez. Yeah, but that'd be cool if we actually could, if we had the knowledge to make a game. And what was that software called? Mugen. Remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, like people can make kind of like how people make homebrew games today. Back then, you make it's called Mugen. And they would put I think Mortal Kombat characters into use a Street Fighter engine, and you can see your dream matches of Mortal Kombat characters versus Street Fighter. It's on YouTube. It should be probably on YouTube today. It was pretty cool. But another arcade game I played a little bit and I thought was cool was Revolution X.
Yeah.
With Aerosmith.
Yeah, that was pretty cool because whoa, Aerosmith! I know what the game's about, what they doing in this game, but man, this is a cool shooting game. Yeah, I had that.
I have to say that it fucking sucks, but the only reason I say that is because I only played it on Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I never played it on a home console. I just remember seeing the arcades and seeing Aerosmith in the arcade, the cabinet art. And yeah, so that was, I guess, Aerosmith, they get kidnapped by aliens. You got to rescue them or something.
Yeah. It may have actually been decent on the arcade port. I have no idea, but it was definitely a horrible console port.
You should probably get on MAME again, Jman, and give it another chance because I have vague memories of it, but I do remember being good memories. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like, almost like a first-person shooter Contra. Pretty cool.
I'll probably check out like a YouTube video of it. Go from there.
Yeah. Did you ever play a Star Soldier?
Yeah, I used to play it. I remember it actually had like a physical gun that you could use, and it actually had like a true sprite scaling. So the console ports definitely didn't have that. It was
Yeah.
definitely one of the most advanced games of its time. It had lots of enemies on screen you can shoot, lots of cool girls dancing, but the gameplay does wear a little thin after a while. Yeah, at least in the arcade you can appreciate the graphics, but on the home ports, it just wasn't there.
Yeah. I also had fun with.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I also remember Lethal Enforcers.
Yeah, it's another one that I've only seen the Sega CD game. Which
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, it's laughable. I think it's laughable on the Sega CD. It's like Mad Dog McCree. Yeah.
Right, Mad Dog McCree. Yeah.
I'll tell you a great shooting game that I played. I don't know, it was like '97, around there. Was Area 51. That was a very light gun game.
Yeah.
I haven't never seen a lot of those, but there was one at the bowling alley that I used to work out actually. Man, that was a lot of fun. Lots of fun. It was actually pretty cool to work there. Usually on Saturday nights, when things would wind down and we get ready to close, the people up at the front would give us like a box of tokens. And so we got to just go in there and play all the games for free. So that was a lot of fun when I worked there.
Yeah.
Oh, Saturday night, go in there and play whatever. Just bing, 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 bing. That was a lot of fun.
Remember when the countdown was happening? We get game over like 9, 8. So like, Mom, hurry, give me another quarter. Mom, hurry. 6, 5. I'm like, no, hurry. He got her scrambled to get another quarter so he can continue that struggle.
I never actually had that struggle. But like, my mom would pretty much give me the money. Okay, here you go. This is all you get. You run out, too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was a super.
The hell out of it, whatever.
Yeah. I think there was a Super Street Fighter. I went to one of those dollar movie theaters and saw the Power Rangers movie. And before the movie started, these kids were playing in a Super Street Fighter arcade cabinet. And then they get game over and then they walk away, but they didn't put their initials in the game. So I walk over there and I put my initials in there as if I actually got in the top 10, but I didn't. I just took credit for it, put my initials in there. I was like, yeah, look at that. I'll be in the top 10.
Have you ever seen high scores and seen somebody with your exact same initials?
Nuh-uh. The only time I ever did that, actually, not in the arcade, but Stunt Race FX, RLG was already in there.
That's pretty cool. You can be like,
call him.
That was me. Yeah. No, it wasn't. You liar. Shut up.
And I called him and I said, hey, how'd that happen? Like, usually it's AAA by default. This time it's RLG. There's my initials. And he said, probably one of the programmer's initials. I was like, okay. But earlier I talked about how I never knew there was a Contra arcade game until years later. Another arcade game I didn't know existed, in which I thought it existed on NES first, was Punch-Out.
Oh, yeah. And Super Punch-Out.
Did you guys play those in the arcade?
I never played them, but I watched other people play both of them.
Yeah.
I used to play them all the time.
It was another game kind of like Dragon's Lair, where it was like, oh, I don't think I can. I'll just watch other people play.
Yeah. And then there's probably always that one kid who, like, everybody's gathering around and watching him play or beat people or beat the computer, beat the whole game. And That was cool. Even as a spectator, you watch people like 2 or 3 player, 4 players trying to beat Ninja Turtles, and you're like, oh, you're about to beat it, and then you see them face Shredder, the final battle, and all that, and then you beat the end. It's like, yes, it had to be a feel good feeling. They had to feel good to be the one to show off in front of the kids like that. I was not one of those kids because I was never good at arcade games, but I bet that was a cool experience whether you're a spectator, because I would sit there. I think I watched some kids beat Ninja Turtles, and or be real good at Street Fighter, and it had to be cool to like be that kid in the arcade that was so good, and then everybody's watching you, and you're thinking, yeah, you're trying to show off in front of girls, and so I bet that was a cool arcade experience.
Imagine being like Billy Mitchell back then.
Yeah, or Jimmy Woods or Skip Rogers. Yeah, that would be cool.
California.
Yeah, California. Yeah, he made California. He made that phrase famous before Tupac and Dr. Dre did. California, dun 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 dun.
Dragon. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was what was I say? Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know there's maybe a few more arcade games I played, but I can't remember because I was not one of those kids that was in the arcades all the freaking time. It was kind of rare appearance that would appear. And I do remember definitely playing Street Fighter games, Pac-Man, and the Ninja Turtle games mainly. And I'm trying to think. That's probably one more, other than that probably Freedom Force type game. Was Freedom Force in the arcade?
I have no idea.
I don't remember seeing it.
Because there was some game I know, and it's not Hogan's Alley. I always thought it was Hogan's Alley, where I was on the street, and then you can shoot through these people's windows, like just residents, and then you can shoot through the windows, and then they get scared, and one guy ran out of the room. I thought it was fun because I liked messing with the people in the background, like shooting them just to see their reactions. And I really can't. I thought it might have been Freedom Force after watching Goemon's series, light gun game series he was doing. He did Freedom Force, and then that track and meet game. Man, I was terrible at that. I couldn't. That was forget that. I think it was kind of like Gladiators for Sega Genesis, where you had to hit the buttons real fast just to run or go or get across the zip line or wherever it was. Forget that. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't play Contra in the arcade because I would have been ticked off at how that arcade cabinet works and took your money. And I do remember Tetris in the arcade. No, I was kidding.
It was released in the arcade.
Yeah, the Play 10.
Tetris? How?
Yeah, on the Play 10. They also had versus Super Mario Brothers. They had I'm not sure about the Duck Hunt, but they had a slew of Nintendo games, and some of them were modified, for arcade play, so they were obviously harder.
Yeah, in the arcade version of Duck Hunt, it was actually 2 players, and you have the opportunity to shoot the dog.
Oh, what? Nice. I wonder how come you couldn't do that at home. Probably because there'd be an outrage and the parents.
Yeah, Nintendo was censoring games left and right.
Yeah, PETA would be like, "Oh, you killed the dog." And
yeah, it's interesting. Nintendo's, they started out pretty hardcore, and then they've gotten more PC and more just I consider it kid-like.
Yoshi Story. Jeez. Yeah.
Well, it got worse in there. Like I was excited about Super Mario Galaxy, and I don't know. I think that game sucks on me personally, but whatever. That's on arcades. So.
Yeah.
I've got a slew of games that I can talk about if you guys run out.
No, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Arch Rivals.
That was I never played that game. Period. It was like an old school version of NBA Jam.
Yeah, it was pretty much the precursor of NBA Jam, but it was more fun.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they ported that or not to NES. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was a lot of. Okay, it was the same company. I believe it was Williams, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's pretty much the precursor to NBA Jam. Also, on that same token, NFL Blitz, which in the arcade many years before was Super High Impact, which was a lot of fun. I did that game.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes. And the fun thing about that arcade cabinet was it printed out football cards. Now, I never got one. I don't know what they look like. I never bothered looking it up, but that seemed like a pretty cool thing for, for your money. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, go ahead.
Let's say real quick. Galaga.
I never was a fan. I like
Galaga.
Centipede was awesome.
Huh.
I played a lot of that on tabletop.
Yeah.
Centipede. Oh yeah. Yeah, Galaga was pretty cool. I like the colors in that game. It was very, very nice looking.
Well, the Rocky pinball game that Paulie destroyed in Rocky 3. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. I wish that was the real thing.
Yeah, there should be a Rocky arcade game where you can kill Paulie.
Right.
Make Drago.
Like pinball games, that's arcade. It's not. Yeah, I would consider pinball arcade games. Sure.
Yeah.
Pinball is my all-time favorite, hands down. That's it. Game over.
Whatever you do, don't play Nick Arcade. I fail.
Okay. But yeah, back to pinball. I played the hell out of that at a laundromat that I used to go to with my mom. Do laundry, obviously. And I got 4 million in at that laundromat, which was pretty awesome. It still wasn't the highest score on there, but I think it was third, and that was pretty awesome. 4 million.
Yeah. Remember George Costanza from Seinfeld? George Costanza from Seinfeld playing Frogger.
Yeah.
That episode where he won the big score.
That game itself.
Yeah. But I was gonna say real quick, yeah, that TV show Nick Arcade, that was at first it seemed cool, but then I go back and watch it again. I'm like, it was so stupid. I think there's like a blooper reel on YouTube of so many fails of that show, including trivia questions that got wrong, and the host Nick Arcade, whatever. I know you hate that name, Jman, because of past experience with a guy named Nick, but
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about with Nick Arcade. What the hell is that?
Nickelodeon back then. It was a show.
But
you got to actually they simulated where the contestants were actually in the actual video game, and that's after if you win the trivia question round, and the finalists got to go into a simulator where it looks like you're in a real video game, not a game already created by Nintendo or any other company, just something they made up, and it was just it was fail. I mean, the concept was cool, but I remember, I think that host didn't know anything about games. I'm sure they just paid him to read off a cue card or trivia questions or whatever. But one time he was talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, like, name this level where you face Dr. Robotnik. I'm like, Dr. Robotnik. Jeez, fail. And I think there was other fails, like some kids missed some of the easiest questions. I forgot what they were. But it might be something like, name this character where you play as someone in the Mushroom Kingdom, and they'll still get it wrong. And I'm like, what? You kids are actors. Get off of here. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, okay. It was just fail.
What you gotta do, Ronnie, is you gotta record yourself watching an episode of Nick Arcade, and then like showing you like getting mad at the contestants.
Yeah, I probably would do that. Or probably should be a S2K thing. We just all commentate over it. And
Sonic,
because
what is wrong with you? No, I like the idea of like seeing you getting pissed off at it, like over like all of us just doing, commentary. I don't know if that would work out very well, but yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
I think that's the idea.
I might have to do a little retro play of it by myself. Yeah, it was just oh man, Dr. Robotnik. Even as a kid, I was like, it's
Dr.
Robotnik, it's Robotnik, and I wouldn't be surprised if he said Dr. Willie, or
Dr. Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Dr. Willie Nelson, or just Stomp the Gombas. What game will you play as Prince Toadstool and you Stomp the Gombas? I don't know. Just there's a lot of fails. I have to go look it up on YouTube again. Someone did a compilation of embarrassing fails and they put it together in a video. That was pretty funny to watch. And yeah, that's not a good arcade experience. I just wanted to mention that, poke fun of that real quick. But that's kind of a good idea, J-Man. I might do that, maybe. No promises. Then I'll get flat taken down by Nickelodeon. Anyway,
It's not gonna happen.
but yeah, any more arcade games we want to mention?
Yeah, I got another one. Toki.
Toki.
At the laundromat as well. Same one that had Pinbot.
Huh. I've heard of Pinbot.
Yeah.
I never heard of Toki.
Yeah, your little ape that can shoot out his mouth.
Yep, and you get a football helmet sometimes.
Yep.
Donkey Kong ripoff.
No, it was.
It's more like a action shooter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say it was actually a Donkey Kong enhancer, honestly.
Yeah, because you're actually playing as the ape this time. So it's more like a Donkey Kong Jr., but you're once human.
And you get to do a whole lot more.
Huh.
Than climb vines and jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like an adventure game, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got very interesting enemies, creatures, bosses. It's very hard game. I've played that on a lot of console ports and enjoyed pretty much every single one of them that I've ever played, including Genesis, TurboGrafx. I don't think it came out on Super Nintendo. I'm not sure about that.
No, it didn't.
I've played at least a couple ports.
Yeah.
You say it did or didn't?
What was that?
I was asking Starsoldier if he said it did or didn't come out on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, the Super
didn't.
Nintendo was pretty much a cutoff of the game's popularity, and it only came out on original Nintendo and Sega Genesis. And yeah, that's a problem with some arcade ports, even though the Super Nintendo was definitely strong enough to have arcade port of Toki. The statute of limitations was up, and they figured they wouldn't make enough money with arcade port.
Oh, okay. I thought it came out on TurboGrafx.
Unfortunately, no, it didn't.
Oh, okay. I must be thinking of something else. I played it on a port. I don't know. I don't remember what console it was.
Yeah, there's one on Sega Genesis and one on original Nintendo.
Okay. Maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. It was quite a while ago, obviously. But yeah,
I remember having fun with Action 52 in the arcade. That was pretty cool.
Boy.
Jeez, imagine that. An arcade port of Action 52. 52 arcade games in one cabinet. Yeah, that would not go. How much would that arcade cabinet cost? If you're like a normal arcade cabinet, what, $1,000-something? But Action 52, since it's 52 games, $52,000. But yeah, yeah, seriously, Action 52. I wouldn't be surprised if Active Enterprises would actually try to do that. I think they tried to make an SNES port, but it got scrapped, thank God. And yeah, I can't imagine the Action 52 arcade cabinet. I mean, the best thing about that would be improved graphics, I guess, but it'd probably still be broken.
Most likely.
Yeah. And I know some listeners are going to be like, "Oh, you forgot to mention this. How could you forget that?" Because I really can't think of.
Well, there's
more.
over 10,000 arcade games out there. We can't cover them all.
Well, I mean, yeah, but which ones? The ones that stand out the most. I think we mentioned them all, but I just remember the movies podcast we did years ago. We talked about all these great movies, Falling Down, They Live, etc., and we never mentioned Terminator. How are we going to forget Terminator? So I'm thinking we're probably missing an awesome arcade game here, and we're probably not going to think of it until the podcast is over.
Well, I don't know if these are awesome, but I have more.
Oh, great! Yeah.
Skull and Crossbones.
Never heard that one.
I have.
Well, they ported it horribly to Nintendo, but it was a whole lot more fun in the arcade.
Was
Great
it
game.
Defender of the Crown the arcade?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Great game. You guys never played that? Wow.
I played it.
No.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah, it was a pirate game.
Yes.
It pirated?
Yeah, it was so much more fun in the arcade. I played it briefly on my channel for the NES. It's just not near as much fun, sadly. But I mean, that's generally the trend, you know. That's the way it goes.
There was one I want to mention real quick. I never played, but I heard an urban legend about it. It's creepy. It's called Polybus. Have you heard of it? Polybus?
Oh.
I thought it was pronounced Polybus, but I think it's actually pronounced Polybus. And it was like probably 70s or 80s, whenever it came out. It was like a creepy urban legend. And my late friend Jman had posted this in the MSN group years ago. His thoughts on it, of the rumors he heard about it. And apparently it's supposed to be like a creepy game. I don't even know how it was played. It looked weird. I think I made some screenshots. I don't know if anybody's actually done footage on YouTube of it, but it was kind of weird. And apparently, there's urban legends saying that it caused some people to die while eventually after you played it, and the FBI took the arcade cabinets away from the arcades. Y'all should look that up and do some research. Polybus, Polybus. It's probably just an urban legend, but it was creepy to read about it. I'm like, that stuff's true. And then, ugh. So yeah, for those of you listening, Polybus, whatever it's called, look it up, do research on it. You might find some interesting finds. And yeah, whether it's true or not, it's creepy, and hopefully that stuff wasn't true. But yeah, I thought maybe I'm sure you guys never played it, but at least probably heard some urban legends about it. It was pretty creepy.
Never heard of it.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm glad I never. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to move on to the next thing. So, go ahead.
No, I think that's it. No, go ahead and yeah, your list of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think shooters really haven't gotten a proper love yet. So I wanted to suggest a couple. 1942 is great.
Yes.
Along with 1943. I think I enjoyed 1942 better. I think it's kind of like the Mortal Kombat thing, where it was like first,
Yeah, but I like 1944 better.
That first experience, but
Well, 1944 is better than all of them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But yeah, those are both awesome. I actually did play the original Gunsmoke in the arcade as well.
Oh, nice.
I think they decently ported that one. Capcom did okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good for NES.
Yes, but of course it's a lot more fun in the arcade.
Oh yeah, I think.
Once again, going off memory, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I think I remember playing Guerrilla War in the arcade. I know I played the shit out of it on the NES, but I'm not sure about that one.
It was in the arcade, yeah.
Oh, okay.
ST2K usually had a lot of arcade hits that they ported home later on, and Ikea Warriors and yeah, Guerrilla War were definitely arcade games first. Yeah, Guerrilla War was actually based on the Cuban War way back when,
Right.
with Fidel Castro as one of the playable characters.
Wow.
I used to
Kinda like
pretend that it was like the Iraqi War, because I was still playing it, around that time. So I'd pretend it was like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
Kind of like how you can play as Saddam Hussein or see Saddam Hussein in the Action 52 game.
Oh, yep.
Operation Fail, whatever it was called. Yeah. Operation Desert Storm.
Fuck that game. Come on. Fuck that game.
But you got to see Saddam Hussein, so it was cool. And also Saddam Hussein rules in Dark Castle.
Fuck that game too.
Anyway, go ahead. How about Dark Castle in the arcade?
To throw rocks. Ugh.
Star Soldier loved Dark Castle in the arcade. No, not really, but
I wouldn't be surprised if there was actually an arcade port of
I
that.
bet. Yeah, jeez. Made you dizzy just by looking at it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Shooter's got some love. Right on.
Shooter McGavin, yeah.
Happy about that.
Yeah. I also remember playing ones like R-Type and Struts in the arcade first, and being really impressed that they were ported over to Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx-16 respectively.
Sweet. R-Type, great game. Never got to play it in the arcade, but always had fun.
It was just my type.
Yes.
Yeah. Tron.
I've never played. I've seen the movie.
Pong.
Yeah, I never played that in the arcade, but
Let me play that song.
I think that was one of the games I ever played on 2600 was Pong.
And Astro.
One of the games I ever played. On 2600. Yeah.
All right. Any more?
Oh, I got one for you, Ronnie. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
I never played that in the arcade, only on Genesis.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, I seen a picture in a magazine of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for Genesis, and I'm thinking, this is weird. What are you gonna do? Dance the entire time? Well, kind of, not the entire time, but yeah. And I didn't know until years later, again, thanks to YouTube, an arcade version first. I'm like, geez, man, all these games from my childhood for the home consoles were in the arcades first. I never knew about it, like Punch Out, Contra, and then Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and yeah. So I don't think I even knew Sunset Riders in the arcade until later on. So what was that like, Michael Jackson's Moonwalk in the arcade?
It's so much better than the port. It's in order to begin with that, it's so much better. Actual music, not that crap.
Nice, yeah. Hey, pretty cool, yeah.
I do believe the level layout it's pretty much the same. I don't think there's so much bullshit with like the opening up like the car trunk doors. As far as I'm going off of 25 years ago memory.
Yeah.
But yeah,
much better. Now here's one I never played in the arcade, but seen it on YouTube. I never actually played myself, but I know you definitely have, Jman. The Simpsons arcade game.
Oh yes, hell yes. Konami is the greatest. Well, at one of their many times of their greatest. Yeah.
I remember seeing it in the arcade. Or I think I was at a pizza place one time and I seen it there, and I never played it, but I was thinking, what is that? What would that look like? Playing The Simpsons. How would that game look like? I never really paid attention to it. I just seen like the title screen in the arcade and never got to actually play it myself. And then I seen it later on YouTube. I'm like, man, I can't believe I missed out on that. That would have been so much fun for me to experience. I can't believe I never played Simpsons the arcade game in the arcade.
You know, that was kind of like Turtles. Like not every time, but damn near every time I seen that game, there was usually a crowd of people around.
Yeah.
Playing like quarters sitting on, next, like on top, waiting for people to like play next and stuff.
Yeah.
All people playing, and then people, hey, I'm next after you're done. Let me in.
Star Soldier, you played that Simpsons in the arcade?
Definitely. Yeah, Konami made the best beat 'em ups, especially since it was 4 players at the same time. And if you played any of the home games of the Simpsons, and then you played the arcade game, there was no comparison. That's what made the arcade, scene actually so much fun. Is that they actually put effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Labor of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, no English. It was straight up like, bam, we're on it.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. Did we mention this? Haunted Castle?
Is that the Castlevania game?
Yeah, it's the Castlevania arcade version.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember that, yeah.
Jedi did a video of it years ago.
And what was the name of that again?
Haunted Castle.
Okay. I'll write that down.
Yeah, I can't think of any more off the top of my head. What about you guys?
You got any, Star?
I can't think of any right now.
Oh, I still got a bunch. RoboCop.
I never played RoboCop in the arcade. I barely played the one on NES. Ugh.
Okay, what about Bad Dudes?
I might have played that one in the arcade. Vaguely remember it.
Yeah, that was once again.
Bad.
Put the port to shame.
President Ronnie. Yeah.
What's that?
President Ronnie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you a bad enough dude?
Right, yeah.
I'm bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, RoboCop, man, that was a pretty awesome game. It was, once again, shittily ported, but
yeah.
The other thing that I didn't like about that game was that you could only shoot at some times.
Yeah.
That's pretty stupid. The guys are shooting at you. At some point, you can only punch. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Have you seen the movies?
Right? Yeah. What else? Remember the Terminator arcade games?
I do not.
Star Soldier?
I'm sorry, no, I don't.
Oh, you know what? I do remember a light gun game. Actually, it was T2. Yeah, I do remember that.
Okay, yeah.
That reminded me of that Area 1 game I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So, tell us your arcade memories, Jman, of WrestleFest and Superstars.
Okay. Well, yeah, Superstars. I played the hell out of that at the Preston Safeway. I used to go up there specifically just to play that game. I was a huge Hulkamaniac back then.
Yeah. But
it's funny, I never played as Hulk Hogan. I was generally Andre the Giant or I think Ted DiBiase for some strange reason.
Yeah. Because it was all about the money.
Probably.
DiBiase would give you all the arcade quarters you wanted, and you sold out. No.
And then I met Star Soldier, and it was like, holy shit, you must be related to Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
Holy shit, baby.
Because I never got to play those wrestling games in the arcade. I just never did. I just seen them, but I never got to play them. I just played.
That game cheated, though. That game cheated like fuck, though. Pissed me off.
Oh, yeah.
But what? It's the arcade.
Yeah. One person got mad at me on YouTube. He posted a comment under my, I think it was low budget reviews of WrestleMania with me and Swindoll, and he said, this game sucks. How could you like it? I said, well, back then it was kind of fun to play. Yeah, it sucks now, but back then it sucked. I said, it was enjoyable to me and Swindoll, some other kids back then. Oh, shoot, me and my friends, we played WrestleFest and Superstars, and I was like, oh, good for you. Here's your cookie. Shut up. Yeah. All right. What else? Uninvited for the arcade? No. Yeah.
You.
That'd be spooky.
Oh. Okay, well, I didn't really play this much in the arcade as much as I played it on a Apple IIe, but Pole Position.
F1 pole position. One of those racing games. Yeah.
Well, that was kind of like the original,
Yeah.
because it had like a thing you could sit in, and you had like your high and low speed.
Yeah. I enjoyed playing Wall Street Kid in the arcade.
What?
You gotta invest
anything. What?
You gotta invest your quarters into the Wall Street of the arcade, and if you lose all your quarters, and the stock goes down, you can't get your quarters back. And no, but go ahead.
Pole Position. I thought there would be more to talk about. I thought
I never played that one in there. I don't even know if I played it. Period. Starsoldier.
I generally played that a lot more on the. We had a. It was actually my uncle's computer. I had a rich uncle, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But and he had an Apple IIe, which I imagine when he bought it at that time was probably a couple $1,000s, if not more.
Yeah.
With probably like 5 megabytes of RAM. But
yeah.
But he bought a newer computer and actually gave that one to us. Well, gave it to my mom, whatever, and it had Pole Position. I believe it had Galaxian on it as well, and a couple other games, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, the ported Pole Position was it was pretty strong. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of fun playing with the with the keys. Up, down, left, right. Oh, shit.
Now, to get the real feel of the game, you have to put your ignition key in the ignition of the arcade and start the car. Fail. But, and what else?
Well, Paperboy was an arcade game. I never played it.
Yeah, I never played in the arcade, just the home port. NES for sucked at it. Jeez, I was terrible. Paperboy. Didn't know what I was doing. Just throwing papers in mailboxes and didn't know the true objective, what I was supposed to do. I never played in the arcade.
In the arcade, it felt a little bit better because you actually had a handlebar controller, so it actually felt like you're on a real bike.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, another cool thing about certain arcade games like Pole Position, Outrun, is that they would actually have like wheels for racing game control. Where you got the home port, you had to use the standard D-pad.
That was the one where you were on the bike and you could actually like lean side to side.
Yeah, Hang On was especially good for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Let me think of another arcade game I failed.
That's the one that I played was, Hang On, or I think it was maybe Super Hang On. I don't know.
I remember your comment, Jman, on my long time no play Hang On, where you said, I failed punt. Hang on, I'll think of something else.
Yeah.
That was fun. They have Safari Hunt in the arcade?
No.
Oh, man. That'd be kind of cool to do. Oh, Golden Axe.
Yep, that was in the arcade first.
Yeah. Ultra Beast.
I thought you already mentioned that for some strange reason. But yeah.
No, we haven't talked about Golden Axe or Ultra Beast yet.
Okay, both of those games I liked in the arcade and hated on Genesis. Straight up hate them.
I never liked Ultra Beast that much.
That was more than that one the most.
Golden Axe. I'm about to say Golden Eye. Golden Axe freaking ECW parts 1 and 2, man.
Yeah, they didn't fuck that one up as bad.
Right.
Oh, Altered Beast. Like, what the fuck? It was actually pretty decent in the arcade, and they... Jesus Christ. Wasn't that like the fucking launch title for the Genesis?
Yep. It was patented with the system originally. It's
Yeah,
actually a 3-month port of the original arcade game, so both of them were released in the same year. So once the arcade game came out, the Genesis one was quickly ported soon after. They took out some of the sprite scaling and some of the colors and everything, but they also had some parallels shown in the backgrounds. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty much arcade perfect game, minus a few control issues and some graphical edits.
Yes.
Welcome to your doom.
Yeah.
Glitches.
And yeah, it sounded better in the arcade.
Yeah.
Welcome to your doom.
I played the Master System version too. I didn't like that one.
Nobody did.
Imagine.
Yeah, if you think the Genesis one is crappy, yeah, if you play the Sega Master System one, there's no comparison. Like that one is just like hell's layers of awful.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, oh, go ahead. My bad.
No, I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
What else we got?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I got more. A unique game, as far as the controls, Marble Madness. With the
Yeah,
roller.
I didn't know that was an arcade game.
Yep.
Huh.
Yes.
Yeah, you saw a trackball controller.
Yes.
Wow. I remember those. Yeah.
Who's beeping?
Running your Facebook.
Oh, yeah, Facebook.
Turn on vibrate.
Yeah.
Damn near modified the analog stick on my my GameStop controller, wherever the fuck I got it from. Damn near modified it to react in the same way as the trackball for Marble Madness on the main. Now, of course, I can't spin the analog stick, but like as far as the controls, like where I move the stick and stuff, because it has like X, Y axes in the controls on main. So I still play Marble Madness and have a lot of fun playing it. Definitely the last. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get to play it very much in the arcade, but yeah, it was very responsive. They did a very good job.
Yeah.
With the responsiveness. Like if you spin that wheel,
Make the deal. What a fortune for the arcade. No, I was kidding. What else?
Here, another oldie, Cuber.
I never played that one in the arcade.
That was fun.
What?
Yeah.
Starsoldier?
Keeper. Yeah, I played it a little bit for SNES, and yeah, didn't care about it.
SNES?
Hugh Burt Reynolds, yeah.
Was it like in a pack of games or something?
Nope.
There was a Cubert 3 for Super Nintendo.
Okay, that's one. No, yeah.
So was it? It was like what was it like? I'm just wondering.
It was just like arcade Cuber, but the graphics were much better. And instead of like a pyramid you're jumping all the time, the level layout would be a bit more diverse. But you're still doing the same old stuff where you're changing different colored blocks.
Right. Yeah, there definitely was some repetitiveness, but the challenge would get crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Starsoldier. What about Solstice for the arcade?
You know, was there actually a solstice?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah, I knew you were trolling again.
He's gonna look it up. Holy shit, there is a
It's
solstice.
like it's kind of like in some ways that could be like a Hubert because you're on like screens. You got to jump on platforms, watch out for marbles or whatever the heck. Oh, that game was. Just imagine that in the arcade. It probably would have been great in the arcade. Actually, it sounds like.
You know, that game pisses me off, but it's got great music.
Yeah, that music. Was it Tim Follin or was it Tim Follin?
Well, we guys recording. Tell us we got.
Yeah. He'll say, yes, it is. And he goes back to the shadows.
He's going to hit us up in like an hour and be like, oh, my bad, guys. It shut off like 20 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to try to get everybody back together in like a month, maybe.
Yeah, are we still recording here?
Yeah. Hope so. All right, so what else?
Oh, man, you know, I just thought of one, unless it was talked about earlier. Final Fight.
Yeah, that's right. Final Fight. Well, I'm sure much better than the SNES version.
Way better.
Oh, man, yeah.
You know, I'd call me strange, but I prefer the level 1 music in Final Fight on SNES to any other port that I've ever heard. It's like I should say level 1 and level 5 or 6, whatever. They repeat the music again later on, but whatever.
Yeah, I did not have a good experience. Only one player, and yeah, I didn't have a good experience with that. But I don't think I ever got to play it in the arcade. So my first impression.
I know. You know, the original ports for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, they had Final Fight Guy, and then I believe it was Sega CD actually had all 3.
Yeah.
So it was kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Whatever. I always played as Hagar, so.
Yeah.
So you don't like Final Fight?
Not the SNES port. I didn't really get to play any of the other ones, so I can't judge the arcade version. Or I did see footage of the was there a Sega CD version, the Mega Drive version too. Those looked much better. But I'm just talking about the SNES version. I hated it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they did a pretty good port of that. So I mean, there's really not, you know, besides the obvious eye candy and ear candy. They did a pretty good port of that. So if you didn't like that, you probably didn't like it.
What about mouth candy?
It surprises the hell out of me. Being such a Streets of Rage fan.
Well,
now, granted, that game is much more versatile. I will say that.
Oh yeah, there have been epic.
I prefer Streets of Rage 2 to Final Fight.
That would have been epic if Streets of Rage was in the arcade.
Maybe.
No, it's not. But that would have been cool if it was. I didn't know until years and years later that Streets of Rage is on the Master System.
Yep.
I'm like, what?
We're looking at the world champion of it.
Talking about the Master System. Well, okay, at least we're not talking about the Saturn. That's good. That's good, at least.
But the Saturn's out of this world.
Which it should be.
What else we got?
I do have more, but it seems like I don't know. Things are like winding down. It kind of seems so.
Yeah,
I still gotta go to work in the morning. Sadly.
Oh yeah.
Yikes.
Oh, that's sad. You don't have a 3-day weekend because Canada they don't celebrate the 4th of July.
Yeah, I had Canada Day
So
off.
maybe they do. Just not
That's it.
Canadian Independence. What about Independence Day for the arcade? No, I'm just kidding. No.
You know what? I think there actually is Independence Day for the arcade.
I don't think there is. I don't know. Um,
So, yeah.
if anybody would know, it'd be Star Soldier.
When is Canada, by the way?
What?
When is Canada Day?
It was actually yesterday,
Ew.
July 1st.
Yeah.
It's a surprise, bitches! We did it first.
Yep. All right. So I think we mentioned all of the best arcade games and some of our memories. I don't know if we talked about so much of actual memories in the arcade as we did just mention them and how great the game is. Like I said, I wasn't in the arcades that much, but I had awesome freaking memories, mainly with Ninja Turtles, Street Fighter, and that's probably it because those two really stand out in my mind. Great arcade memories of playing those, even though I wasn't very good at them. But yeah, so I guess that is it for the Arcade Memories podcast. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we are out of here. I'm Ronmower.
Jman.
Oh yeah, and Dance Dance Revolution champion, Starsoldier 1, baby.
Oh no.
All right. God bless. Take care.
See you all later.
The memories are in the games.
I see what you did there.